So most tools like the texturizing tools and the double action tools, if you look at them closely, you can see that the tip isn't exactly the same thickness all the way through. And I don't know if you can see this, but this tool is actually a little bit thicker here than it is on this side. Okay, and so so we have a word for that. The place where it's thicker is called the toe of the tool, and the place where it's thinner is called the heel of the tool. Just kind of some terminology to keep in mind, and you can get different impressions if you're working on the toe, using the toe of a tool versus the heel of a tool. This one in particular is called the camouflage stamp. Actually, I've got two different ones and slightly different shapes here. This one's a little bit more narrower, this one's a little thicker here. It's basically kind of a crescent shape where the toe of the tool, that is the thicker part, is kind of by the crescent, and the heel is the rounder part here. And again, these aren't used really so much for that design as much as they're used for texturizing. For example, in a lot of floral patterns or patterns of plants and vegetation, that kind of thing. And one way you can do it is to just kind of start doing them kind of in sequence right next to each other like this. This leather's already been cased. And you can start even overlapping them somewhat. And so if you see, really, it's not so much the design of this tool itself that I'm interested in as it is kind of the texture that I'm developing by doing multiple overlapping strokes kind of over a larger area. So I'll do a couple more like this and turn it up, and you can see. Remember, this is a single action tool, so I am moving the tool between strikes, but I'm not allowing it to move as I strike. So I'll do a couple more. So now if you look, now I've kind of created a texture here that looks like it could be any number of things. It looks like it could be a pine cone, maybe. It looks like it could maybe be the scales on a fish, maybe even feathers on a bird. And so that's kind of where the artistic decision kind of comes into play, what sort of tool you want to use for what design element. But that's just kind of an example of things you can do with the camouflage stamp to kind of get different types of textures. And of course, you'll get different textures depending on if you hold the tool straight up and down like I was doing, or if you, for example, angle it. So in this case, we can use just the heel, and we can see that this is giving kind of a much kind of rounder kind of look here, where we're not really getting as much of a crisp definition between those different strikes the way that we got before. So you can see this texture, it's not as crisp, but it's still really neat. This now kind of maybe looks, I don't know, like hair, or I don't know, maybe little brushy plants or something like that. So, and I got that by having the tool angled instead of straight up and down.